Hello everybody and welcome back to another video for the day. We are going back into r/entitled parents, which yeah, literally the channel only has one other video of me covering it. It was from very well in the beginning. So you know what, this is a good old subreddit to dust off, because you know everybody's got entitledness in the area. Everybody knows somebody who has one of those. So yeah, you know, the parents are not any type of special exemption. I can say for a fact that everybody knows somebody that grew up with the phrase "don't run out into traffic," and then the person that told you that just walked out in front of a car. I don't know what it is, but for some reason after the age of 50, a lot of people forget common sense. And that engagement is very much welcome. I always like seeing the engagements on the channel because the more comments, more so help the video also. So I don't know, just let me know your favorite type of bread. Breastfeeding isn't allowed if you are a teen mom.
Excuse me, what?
So, back in high school, one of my closest friends got pregnant and gave birth to the sweetest baby boy. She stopped going to school for a while to take care of her kid, but still did online school so that she could graduate with her class. One thing we would do is go to one of the local food places near the high school on Fridays, and today we decided to go to this nice Chinese place that I frequent regularly, and the little old Asian lady knows me by name. This Chinese place has a sticker on the front door that says something like, "Breastfeeding will always be welcomed," which is great since that's what my friend is more comfortable doing for her baby. After we order our food and hung out in this little waiting area, when the baby gets all fussy, she takes out the little cover and covers her baby with her chest, and then she starts to feed him. We keep talking until this woman and her son, who had to be around 10, comes in. I recognize the kid as one of the kids that I looked after when I used to volunteer at a youth center. He comes up to me and starts talking to me, and then asks my friend what she is doing with the baby. Before my friend could answer, the boy's mother cuts in.
"A disgusting thing is what she is doing. Don't you know better than to do that in public? And why are you even doing that if you're only a kid?"
My friend has an attitude sometimes, so I try to jump in before she would start to throw things. It's not illegal, and Mrs. L is fine with it. She has a sticker on the front door. Mrs. L being the little old Asian lady at the counter who was just oogling the baby a second ago. She smiles at us and continues to write some stuff down. The mother wasn't happy about this and continues with her BS.
"I'm sorry, but I'm not okay with a baby breastfeeding another baby. Can you please just stop?"
she says in frustration. Miss L finally cuts in, and in her broken English, she says, "Nursing baby is a beautiful thing. You have a problem. You leave." She then taps the order on the window and leads to the kitchen and apologizes to my friend for the woman's nasty behavior. She then looks at the boy who is still next to me and says jokingly, "Yo mother, she dummy, right?" This makes the boy laugh and the mother just grumble in her seat, trying to stay as far from us as she could. When my friend finished and we grabbed our food, Mrs. L threw in an extra order of egg rolls since they were my friend's favorite. Everything was fine until Monday came and I saw the boy again. He pulls me off to the side and tells me that his mom said she doesn't like me or my friend. And I just ask him if he still likes me, and he says yes. Yay.
"How dare you go into a place that has a sign that says something is perfectly fine and then you have a problem with it because you yourself don't like it? That totally means you get to be judge, jury, and executioner on the matter."
You literally got "don't make me tap the sign," and you still weren't fine with it. Easiest way that you could have solved this solution for yourself was just get up and leave, but nope,
you needed to come in and be the most important person in the room.
I absolutely love people like this. Even for myself, my coworkers have had people like this come in. Like, I work at a pet store, and a couple of days ago, there was a person who had a problem with us selling pets. And who did they decide to take it out on? The gosh darn cashier, that's who, because they happen to be the first person you can get pissy at. Bottom line is, if a place has a policy and you don't agree with it, well, tough titty, they are not going to change the policy just for you.
"I do not care if you have cancer. My child deserves your seat."
This encounter happened about 7 months ago. I do not want to insult your intelligence because you most likely already know that EM and me stand for, but I should say that EK in the story stands for embarrassed kid, and OG for old gentleman, 60-some-year-old guy. The kid was very polite and sorry, so this story isn't about him. Also, I'm translating this into English, so bear with me. A little backstory. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with cancer of the nasal cavity, stage 2. The tumor was quite large, but thankfully benign. Edit, people have pointed out I formulated this wrong. By benign, I wanted to shorten the fact it still did not spread to other tissue. Thus, it was still contained, which is what I thought the word meant. I apologize for my gaps in knowledge. To get it removed, I first had to undergo aggressive chemotherapy to make it smaller. Thanks to the chemo, I had severe alopecia, hair loss, which made most of my hair and even eyebrows and eyelashes fall out. At some point, I had to go bald, but I wore a wig, because I didn't want to look like a skinhead or Neo. Yeah, I'm not saying that one. I'm 6'4" and pretty muscular, so I thought people would assume. So once after a long chemo session in the hospital, I took the bus home. There's only one bus that goes from the hospital to where I live, so I took that one and only to see it absolutely packed. I felt like Dookie thanks to the chemo, so I asked a middle-aged dude to let me sit. He was very understanding and gave me his spot without complaining. If you're reading this, thanks bro. 2 stops later, enter EM. A lovely whale with an "I demand a parley with the CEO" haircut, and a 12-some-year-old kid. It took her roughly 5 seconds to see that the bus was packed and start looking for a free seat. Spot me and start marching, or in her case, trying to fit in the aisle between the seats and shoving others aside to me. When I saw her, I knew I was screwed. She then stood next to me and decided to talk to me. This is the conversation that followed.
Hey, could you let my kid sit down?
Me? You mean me?
Who else?
Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm on my way from the hospital and... Cutting me off.
So are we.
Nonsense. The stop was a few kilometers away from the hospital.
My boy just broke his leg, and we are coming straight from the ER.
Her kid was standing next to her without any support, clearly embarrassed. He's standing next to you completely fine.
Look here, boy.
I am 21 years old.
My kid deserves to sit down.
Look, madam, I'm sorry, but I just got back from a chemo session in the hospital, and I need to sit down and rest. I then removed my wig a bit to let her see my bald head. EM then straight up starts yelling in my face.
Stop making excuses and get off the freaking seat, you freaking skinhead piece of dookie.
At this point, I was baffled. I didn't know what to say. The kid was trying to make his mother stop, and we had the attention of the whole bus. She then grabbed me and tried to yank me from the seat. I held on tight and thankfully didn't fall off. Now enter OG, my savior. Will you shut the frick up, you dumb cow?
Who do you think you're talking to?
OG with an ice-cold voice, stop attacking other passengers or I will be forced to step in. Also, every dumb moron could see that this dude has cancer.
No, he's just a freaking skinhead.
He's got no eyebrows, you twat. Seems like that really offended EM because she spun around on the spot and threw a falcon punch at OG's face. I was shocked and in disbelief. The whole bus was flabbergasted, and the kid probably wished he had never been born. OG then said something unbelievable and a golden sweet karma moment followed. Okay, that does it. Harassing passengers on the bus, physical assault against passenger, and now assaulting an officer. You're in deep trouble, lady. OG then pulled out a badge and told her to stay where she was. Then he pulled out his phone, called someone, and told her that she was being arrested. I couldn't believe it. OG was a bloody cop. At the moment, EM was as white as the wall. The bus had come to a stop, so she decided to make a run for it, but other passengers blocked her way. She then also got charged with resisting arrest thanks to this. 3 stops later, a police car was waiting for the EM and EK. The entitled kid told me he was sorry for his mother's behavior, and I felt sorry for the kid. He wasn't a bad child, but his mother was a hellspawn. OG then talked to me and asked if he wanted to press charges, to which I gladly said yes, took a statement, and thankfully was kind enough to let me solve everything on the phone, so I didn't have to come to the police station for questioning. In the end, EM got some jail time. I think it was a few months and some community service. I, in return, got a good story to tell and a sweet taste of instant karma. Right now, I'm riding the same bus home, as I got back home from the hospital after a checkup, which reminded me of this. A friend who's sitting next to me told me that I should post it here. He, as much as myself, also couldn't believe that such people existed, but it seems I proved it to him. I should also note that the surgery went well, I was declared cancer-free in November, and my hair is slowly returning. Also, I don't need to wear a wig anymore. Fuck yeah! Good on you for whooping cancer's ass. I mean, look, even if the person's wearing a cap, if you notice somebody with eyebrows and they're in the handicap section, maybe there's a little bit of a connection between the two, but for some reason, some people don't have the neurons to be able to make that connection. Main reason why people like this I always just call suns because, well, the inside of their head is filled with nothing but hot gas. That, and while the sun is the actual center of our solar system, very much people with that I call suns just think they are. And also, how oblivious do you gotta be to see somebody sitting in a place without any eyebrows, and just because they happen to be a big white dude, think that they're a skinhead? That's very much not okay. An entitled mother wants me to lie about witnessing SH to protect her son. So, I teach 8th grade, and a few months ago I had a female student come up to me in private and tell me that a male student in her class that was HHing her. She shows me text messages that he has sent her detailing highly graphic things he wants to do to her, and tells me some of the things he has said to her when they are in the halls. She tells me that she has asked him to stop repeatedly, but he is still doing it, and she wants me to help keep him away from her in my class. So before I file a report to have guidance and admins investigate the issue, I spend a class period keeping a close eye on the two of them to see if I can confirm or deny anything that she is saying. Once I'm looking for it, I observe the male student doing things like licking his lips at her, and from the other side of the room, hovering around her and finding reasons to walk past her desk. I personally overhear him make a comment about her to another student. Based on what I've seen, I go ahead with referring the boy to admins for harassment and make contact with the parents of both students to inform them that the issue will be investigated by the school and possibly disciplinary actions will be taken. I don't make direct contact with the boy's mother, but I leave her a voicemail and ask that she call me back. The next day, I'm in my planning period, and I get a call from the office saying that there is a parent here for a meeting. Now, our policy is that the parent meetings must be scheduled in advance and logged with the office. I don't have any meetings scheduled for today, but I have time to decide to go and see what's up. It turns out that the male student's mother is in the office. She very nicely asks if we can talk face to face about what is going on, and for some dumb reason I agree, even though usually we like to have another teacher to staff members present for these meetings. So we go in a conference room and go over the allegations, avoiding names. I tell her that a female student has accused her son of SH, and I saw enough evidence in the class to refer it to the office for investigation.
Now, what exactly did you hear? Because I know my son, he would never harass a girl. He might say something stupid that got taken the wrong way, but that's just not who he is. So what exactly did you hear him say? I want to know what this girl is saying about him.
I saw him licking his lips at her and overheard him say to another boy that he wanted to, yeah, no, I'm redacting that, all night.
What do you mean, licking his lips? He gets chapped lips. He might not be doing it to harass some girl. She can't just say things about him and try to ruin his life. I know my son, and he is not that kind of person, no matter what some girl says.
Well, administration and guidance are still going to investigate, and based on what they find, they'll be in touch with you.
So, what
Wait, did you tell them? You can't just go and say, boy's name, is harassing girls based on what one person says. He's already been suspended twice, and now you're going to get him expelled just because some girl wants to get him in trouble for no reason? Now I'm thinking, why do I do this? Mom is getting worked up. I have no one else there, and my next class starts soon. I repeat that and just reported things the girl said and the things that I saw, and that it'll be investigated. I reiterate that I'm not the one making any final decisions, and if she has an issue, she needs to talk to the principal. Well, principal hates my son. She's not going to listen. You need to go and tell them that this is all nonsense. You saw him licking his lips because they were chapped. I'm not going to have this harassment bull. Again, if you have an issue, I'm not the one to talk to. I just report what I saw. They'll look into it. But you didn't see anything, and you need to tell them that. I'm telling you, I know my son, and you've got it all wrong. If he gets expelled because you don't know what you saw, it's going to be your fault. I eventually talk her down enough to get her to leave. I report to admin that the parents is hostile about the accusations and go on about my day. They end up investigating and find hard evidence that he was actually SHing 3 different girls and the boy got expelled. Look, if you're going to be blaming it on chapped licks, then here's the thing. Get your kid some chapstick and shut up, because it is a different thing if you're licking your lips because they're dry, but it's another thing if you are very much staring the crap out of somebody while you're doing so. That's a whole nother thing, and that just makes it very, very weird. And oh, God forbid, your little darling angel, I know my boy. Yeah, no, apparently you don't. It's parents like this that I very much feel like shouldn't be parents, because, oh, God forbid, you need to discipline your kid because your kid is being a weird piece of shit. Just because he ain't eyeing you up and down while licking his lip don't mean he isn't doing it to other people, because if he was doing it to you, that's a whole nother can of worms in and of itself. I wonder how many people you'll be trying that whole, oh, I know my son, in against, because, you know, it's not like hard evidence is hard evidence, and a screenshot can very much prove things. We're having a 6th child we can't afford, so we expect you to give us your college fund.
What? What the fuck?
I am F19 and my parents' 2nd child. I have 3 brothers, 21, 13, and 7, and my sister is 16. We grew up poor, and our parents were often dependent on financial help from relatives, friends, etc. for raising us. This is because even though my dad has a mediocre job and my mom doesn't work, they just kept on popping out one kid after another. My parents are very religious and believe that children are a gift from God. Personally, I think that's total BS. My parents' reproductive choices wouldn't bother me if I hadn't caused mine and my siblings' lives to turn into dookie. While growing up, we never had new clothes or toys. We had to accept handouts from family members who were better off. We never went out or did anything fun. To top it off, we were well aware that the rest of the family looked down on us for constantly asking for handouts. Now, my older brother and I managed to get into good colleges and are looking forward to a future that would be better than our parents' lives. He and I were staying at our parents' place for a while due to the virus's lockdown. One morning, my parents called all 5 of us into the living room, and Mom said that she had great news. The smile that was forming on my face died a quick death when she said, "We're pregnant." I lost my temper. I asked them how they could be so stupid and irresponsible. Do they not have enough financial troubles already that they have to bring another mouth to feed? My older brother tried to calm me down, but I was livid. After a lifetime of scarcity because of my parents' stupidity, they still hadn't learned their lesson. I asked them how they planned to provide for the kid. My dad told me I would have to give up the money our great uncle had left me. He had left all 5 of us some money which only we could access when we turned 18. I said, hell no. That money would help pay for my college expenses. He called me selfish for not being there for family. I told them that if they couldn't provide for the kid, they should get the deletion. My mom started crying and called me a heartless monster. Dad told me he was disgusted with me, and I told him there was no way I was going to pay for their stupidity, and the only thing I would be willing to pay for is a termination. What I was really worried about was my siblings' lives getting even worse. My older brother and I have escaped our parents' clutches, but the others, especially my younger sister, will be expected to help take care of this baby. No teenager deserves to have their adolescence ruined by diapers, a screaming baby. I know what it's like, as I had to go through that. It was expected of me to be an unpaid nanny to my younger brothers and sister. My older brother could go out with his friends and have fun, but I had to stay home and help give baby the baths, the feeding the toddlers. I decided to get some family members involved so they could talk some sense into my parents. I called my mom's maternal cousin. She's one of my favorite people. When I told her that mom and dad were having another kid, she reacted with, "What, again?" I told her everything and how they expected me to hand over my inheritance, and she said she was going to speak to my parents and told me to not sign over anything. I promised her I wouldn't. Of course I won't. I also called my first two cousins, one of whom is an accountant, so she could explain to my parents how much of a financial liability this baby is going to be, and to try to convince them to either abort or give it up for adoption. I moved out of my parents' home a few days ago. I was only going to stay there until the lockdown was relaxed, but I just can't bear to listen to my mom's nagging about how this baby is a blessing, and that I want to kill it. And I've moved into a friend's basement for a minimal rent. My mom's cousin paid them a visit about a week ago and tried to tell them that they weren't doing this child any favors by bringing it into a life of poverty. My mom was very rude to my aunt and told her that a woman who chose to remain barren will never understand a mother's love. My aunt never wanted kids nor had any, one of the reasons why she's my fave. My father told her to get out and told me that there was nothing that she could do, but she did try. I didn't blame her. The cousins tried to explain the economic impact that this child would have, and my mom cried about how everyone was trying to take away her baby. WTF? The intervention didn't do shit, so now I've decided to cut contact with my parents. I just can't watch my family slide further and further into this hellhole. I'll be maintaining contact with my sister, 16, just to make sure my parents can't brainwash her. My older brother is going to stay in touch with all of them, which is a good thing, as he can act as a link between me and the other siblings if my parents ever forbid them from talking to me. Otherwise, I'm done with these people. Why are there people out here today that still think that everything is as affordable as it was back in the 60s, where this would very much be a doable thing, even on one home income? It's gonna be parents like this that for some reason think that it's their religious duty to keep on popping out kids that are gonna be the reason that that satirical stick figure family that stretches the entire width of the car is actually bought for non-ironic purposes. Like, well, the baby is a God's gift. Yes, and you've already made enough gifts, man. Please, for the love of all that is holy, stop it. It's expensive enough to have one kid. You really think that you're perfectly fine having 6 and then just asking for handouts all the time? If you want to have a kid, that's perfectly fine. You want to have 2 kids, that's perfectly fine. Just as long as you're a good parent, and by good parent, I mean make sure that you know the financial obligations you are about to get into. Because holy dang, I didn't think that anybody could have the audacity to have 6 kids, and most likely if nobody stops them, they're gonna keep on having more until they physically can't. At the end of the day, not see a dang thing wrong with it. But with that is going to have to be it with the video. If you guys would like to be absolutely amazing, show your support, and see more videos like this one in the near future, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment down below to start up them wholesome internet discussions, and if you guys have not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on them notifications. The Entitled Parents one would be an interesting one to continue going, so very much that engagement is well appreciated. I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.